When it comes to VeChain, why am I refusing to give up even though nothing I say is financial advice and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, this is just my personal perspective on this situation? Well, it's because the way to take a look at it is that VET, as of right now, the primary native token of VeChain, the market cap is slightly above $1 billion. But the thing is, if it even dips below $1 billion, the last time I saw VET have a market cap of below $1 billion was back in 2020, at least from what I can see. That's pretty much around 5 years ago at this point. We're almost in 2026, right? So when I take a look at something like that, some people might be thinking, why would that be a reason why, I personally wouldn't give up? I'm not saying anyone's perspective, but in my case, even though it may seem a little bit counterintuitive, my kind of perception is that if my intention is a dollar cost average, I wouldn't necessarily complain if, let's say, I saw levels of VET that I haven't necessarily seen in almost 5 years. If, let's say, it did in a hypothetical dip below $1 billion in terms of market cap in that make-believe scenario, right? Now, it's slightly still above $1 billion, but I'm just saying. I just, generally speaking, wouldn't necessarily complain if, let's say, again, my intention is a dollar cost average. Now, if my intention is to exit, then that's completely different because, again, it's not necessarily such a good thing seeing a market cap basically nearing a point in which it reached around 5 years ago, right? So then it kind of shows that, sure, the project has had some popularity, but the pullback has also been pretty extensive, and it's pretty much kind of back at the point in which it was around 5 years ago in terms of market cap, around that range. Again, it may seem a little bit counterintuitive, but again, if I'm trying to dollar cost average, I'm not going to complain about this specific situation, but that is just personally in my case. Because I've been dollar cost averaging into VET for over 2 years at this point, and I've been dollar cost averaging at times when the market cap was slightly above $1 billion, when it was around $2 billion, was around $3 billion, also when the market cap was around $5 billion back in December of 2024. So if, let's say, now I can actually dollar cost average into VET at around $1 billion in market cap, again, I'm not going to necessarily complain about that too much, but that is just my perspective. Now, some people may think, okay, how low could this go? Well, I do not have the answer to that question, which is why I never try to find the perfect time. Because imagine if I try to find the quote-unquote perfect time and for whatever reason, I chose December 2024. Then as of right now that it's around 5 times lower from that point, then I wouldn't even be able to dollar cost average anymore. So that is why I never try to find the perfect time. All I'm doing is just dollar cost averaging once a month and that's it. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but my kind of analogy is this. If, let's say, I'm surfing in the ocean, I think it's much better for me to prepare myself in a position to kind of catch the wave as opposed to trying to chase it, in which, let's say the wave is like 40, 50 feet away. There's no way I'm going to be able to chase that by just paddling on the board. Again, I don't have those capabilities. Which is why when it comes to, again, this space, do I know if there's going to be an altcoin season? Absolutely not. I can't control the market. Do I know when VET is going to do this or do that? No, I don't have the answers to those questions. But my kind of thing is just preparation. Like, for instance, I'm never going to know when exactly a certain moment is going to happen, but I'm just going to prepare because if, let's say, for whatever reason it does happen, it doesn't mean it will, but I'm just saying if it, for whatever reason, does, I just want to be prepared because that's just kind of my mentality. It's like, for instance, if I like running marathons, maybe I might not know exactly when there's going to be a marathon happening around where I live. Maybe I can know some, right? But who knows, maybe some might pop up. Instead of me trying to just prepare on the spot for a marathon like that, which I will not be able to do, I think it's much just more logical for me to consistently train and just kind of prepare for that so that in case there's an opportunity to do that, then I'll be able to run the marathon. That's just kind of my point of view. So when it comes to VeChain, I get it. Sometimes people like to say, oh, no one really cares about this. Well, I get it. I mean, the sentiment isn't the best as of right now, but it is not like a specialized event where it's only VeChain having a pullback. Like, for instance, VeChain is heavily focused on supply chain management. It's not like only projects that are focused on that specific niche, or should I say that specific market, are having a pullback. It almost doesn't have kind of a distinction as of right now. Like, for instance, meme coins are having a pullback, VeChain's having a pullback, Bitcoin's having a pullback, Ethereum's having a pullback, and Ethereum's a very massive layer 1 blockchain, right? So there's sort of kind of no distinction because even like a meme coin that doesn't have anywhere close to the popularity of some of the, more popular projects out there, a lot of them are still having a pullback. So this is just like a general event. So I don't think it's kind of a testament sometimes to the fundamentals of VeChain. I think it's more so just, again, altcoins not doing the best, and also even Bitcoin as of right now having a pullback to a certain extent. And also, the way I take a look at it is this. Sure, 30 cents as of right now, it's around 22 times lower than that. And the market cap actually, at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 26 billion. So it's a very long ways away, and I get it. VET has had a pretty significant pullback, but in my perspective, if let's say I'm walking inside a store, right, and let's say I really want a t-shirt, I should say, and then let's say for whatever reason, the entire store is having a discount. It almost doesn't even matter in sometimes the cases that I do see, like for instance, if they're just having a clearance sale, it's like the tank top, the jeans, the t-shirt. But I'm assuming, if let's say there's a hypothetical situation where that is the case, would I be choosing the items I don't want or the items that I do want? Of course, I'm going to be choosing the t-shirt if I actually want the t-shirt. So that's just kind of my point of view. It's a little bit me being more intentional about the apparel that I do want to acquire in terms of the t-shirt, right? And not choosing the jeans or the tank top. And when it comes to this space, if I see projects that are also not known to have the best fundamentals out there, and also projects that are known to have pretty good utility, if both of them are having a pullback, of course I'm going to be focusing on the ones that I'm a fan of fundamentally. This is just my perspective. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but this is just the way to take a look at it. So when it comes to VeChain, I mean, when people like to say, oh, no one really cares about this, well, we have to consider the VeChain Tor blockchain is still kind of doing its thing. It's not the most popular out there, but it's still pretty okay. That's the way to take a look at it. Not to mention, it's known for pretty good reliability, allegedly, because ever since 2018, it supposedly has had zero network outages, which is very impressive, considering the track record of some other projects out there, which hasn't necessarily had kind of zero network outages for that amount of time in some cases when compared to VeChain. So I do like that whole vibe when it comes to VeChain overall. The VeChain Tor blockchain might not have the best adoption out there, may not be the most popular, but in terms of reliability, the track record right there that I've seen, I must say I'm a fan of that. Now also sometimes when a project isn't doing the best, people oftentimes kind of ignore what they've done historically speaking, but I still take a look at historical partnerships when it comes to VeChain, like H&M for instance, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, and also what they're even doing when it comes to the UFC and as well as PowerSlap. So again, in the grand scheme of things, VeChain is still doing something, at least in my perspective, and I do like seeing that they're still updating, and I get it. Things are not necessarily looking the best as of right now, but what can I do about it, right? I mean, I can complain all day, but it doesn't really do anything, actually. So, yeah, I mean, I could easily exit, though. I mean, I could easily just not believe in this project anymore, or just this whole space in general. I could just easily not care about it. But then, why haven't I done that? Well, it's because, first of all, I don't think I've seen an altcoin season during this cycle. And also, on top of that, I am still a fan of the fundamentals when it comes to VeChain. It'd be a different case if, let's say, there was an altcoin season and VeChain kind of did nothing, then that's probably a different situation. But if, let's say, I haven't seen an altcoin season during this cycle, and I still like the fundamentals of VeChain, it is just something personally, it kind of meets my personal criteria of not wanting to give up. That's just my point of view. Now, in the meantime, though, all I can do is just wait. I mean, that's about it. It seems a little bit boring, I understand that, but what can I do about it? I can't control this in any way, right? Like before I believed in VeChain was already there. Like it's already an existing project when I looked into it. So, again, I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything about this space, but all I can do is just stay patient, and I think just stay calm at a time like this. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but this is just personally what I'm doing. Because if I believe in a project, I just don't want to give up like that because I still like it fundamentally. It's like, for instance, let's say I'm a big fan of the Miami Dolphins. Sure, they might not win the Super Bowl, but if I'm actually a fan, I'm not going to randomly not care about my favorite team if, let's say, they don't win a Super Bowl. And it's a little bit different in this case, I'm totally aware of that. However, that's sometimes just kind of the analogy that I'm thinking about. Granted, VeChain isn't necessarily the coolest project out there. Like, personally, I didn't enter this space to believe in projects that are focused on supply chain management. It's more of a kind of niche market, right? It's more so of a the way I would put an analogy on it, an acquired taste. It's more something that I have to actually take a look into before I really kind of understand, like, okay, it's pretty cool. But then it's not something that I would find cool at first glance, or something that I would try to get into the space just because of that. But still, it's something that I found along the way. But I'm not disappointed because I still like supply chain management, and it's not a market sector that's reliant on kind of a trend, right? It's more so something that has been around for quite a while, supply chain management, and it's not something that necessarily has a lot of attention again, but it is actually something that a lot of enterprises, I feel like, want to find a way to improve their supply chain management. So that's why I like VeChain. It's not necessarily trying to chase a trend. It's more so just trying to be focused on more so of a established market and just kind of, doing its thing, basically. So overall, I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to VeChain in terms of its fundamentals. The price is a different case. But personally, because I am trying to dollar cost average, I am not excited necessarily to dollar cost average when things are doing this. If I could actually dollar cost average when things are not doing this and doing this, I'd rather prefer that hypothetical situation, because I don't want to wait to a certain point, because I don't want to miss out on the journey if, let's say, something does happen along the way. But who knows? Only time will tell, which is why I'm still staying patient. I haven't given up, and I'm still, just basically waiting. That's about it, actually. And I want to say thank you for watching. I hope y'all have a nice day. I greatly appreciate it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd also greatly appreciate that. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.